Hey everybody, welcome Mighty Family. It's Mighty Mary here in my kitchen with you on this beautiful day. So I just wanted to welcome you all to my kitchen as we make a spring vegetable risotto. We are willing spring into our lives with these beautiful vegetables that we're going to use to make a risotto. And I have a great expert tip person here with me, Natalie, who's going to help us also learn about the nutritional ingredients involved in this recipe. So welcome, Natalie.
Thanks so much, Mary. Hi, everyone. If we haven't met yet, my name's Natalie, and I work on content at Mighty Health. I'm also a certified health coach, so I'm super excited to be here virtually in Mary's kitchen. I wish I was there in real life, but working on this recipe with you. It's one of my favorites.
Same. Well, we're glad you're here. Let me show you all the great ingredients we're going to use this morning to make our risotto. It's a quick one, and it's a very simple recipe. So maybe I want to show you the main players first, because this is where it's at. We've got lots of great green vegetables here. We've got asparagus, which is in season right now. It's so beautiful. We're going to top it off with some parsley. And then we also have red peppers and shallots. We'll be cutting all this stuff up in a moment, and Natalie will tell you more about all that. But to pair with our yummy veggies, we're going to do some rice. We're going to use a little bit of olive oil. You could also use water in lieu of olive oil. We'll talk more about that. We're going to use some vegetable broth. About 4 cups, and you probably already know this, but a box of broth is 32 ounces, aka 4 cups. So you just can grab one of those and no measuring needed. And then salt and pepper. So I'm going to move these out of the way and we'll get started with our prep.
Another thing this recipe calls for is Parmesan cheese, right, Mary?
Oh, yeah, I left my little bowl of parm out of there. That's a little topping we're going to add. Thank you for
That is
the
okay.
reminder.
No problem. The original recipe calls for a vegan Parmesan cheese. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it's basically just a mix of nutritional yeast, garlic powder, and salt. And if you're not familiar with nutritional yeast, it's just a type of yeast that contains a lot of protein, vitamins, and minerals. It kind of has a cheesy flavor, which is why it's used a lot in vegan cooking. And if you are vegan or vegetarian, it's something I really recommend adding to your diet because it's a source of all 9 amino acids, so it's a good protein, and it's a great source of B12, which is not something you're going to get if you're not eating animal foods. And that's something that's really important because it's going to prevent anemia, making you feel tired and sluggish. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, I recommend making this with the nutritional yeast.
Oh, that's
but otherwise,
great
I love
advice.
this recipe because of all the green vegetables in it. Oh my gosh. So good.
Here they
and
come.
Like you said, asparagus is in season, which is amazing to
Yes.
use in season. You can add any vegetable you want, really. But we're just using in-season vegetables because they're picked at their peak. They're going to be the freshest and they have the best nutritional value.
Now I'm showing you the slow way to do this. When you find the soft point or the snappable point of your asparagus, that's the freshest. If I were to do it lower on the stem, it's really tough there, and that's not going to cook up well or taste well. But once you get that real tough part off, this asparagus you could just eat by hand. Now that I've eyeballed on this stalk where that spot is, I can just take a knife, slice it off so I can, right about here. You can kind of feel it with the knife too, but I wanted to show you both ways of how to prep that asparagus. And then we're going to cut it on the bias because it looks prettier, and I'm all about that. And when it cooks up, it even turns brighter green, and I just love using this in recipes. Super healthy too, as you're saying.
So healthy. I love this recipe for a lot of reasons, but one of them is just because of all the fiber that's in it. So when you add a lot of vegetables, you're getting fiber, which is really just a type of carbohydrate your body can't break down, which sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a really, really good thing. Fiber helps regulate your blood sugar. It makes you feel more full. And it actually has been shown to lower the risk of developing heart disease, diabetes, constipation, cancer. It's a really important thing to add to your diet. And when people ask me, kind of what's the one thing they can do for their health, I would probably say add in more fiber because it's that important.
Wow. But good fiber, certain fibers, especially those.
Well, there are two different types of fiber, Mary, which you may not know. There's soluble and insoluble. Both are good types. Soluble just means they can dissolve in water. So this specific type of fiber is really good at reducing glucose levels, helps with blood cholesterol, and it's in foods like oatmeal, chia seeds, walnuts, and fruits with edible skins. So think like an apple or something. And then insoluble is something that can't dissolve in water. But this is also really important because it helps food move through your digestive system. It's like clearing out all the bad stuff. Like any bacteria that's coming in, any viruses and stuff. It's good to keep things moving along your digestive system. And this is in, nuts, beans, vegetables. So this is a lot of insoluble fiber. And asparagus in particular is a great form of this because it's an inulin, which is a prebiotic. So it feeds a lot of that good gut bacteria you have. It's kind of like, like a fertilizer almost for the good stuff in your gut.
Well, it's that time of year for fertilizer, so that's perfect.
Exactly. Spring into your gut health. Right?
Yeah, so our asparagus is all set to go. I started off on my red pepper. I just cut it off in a way to avoid having a bunch of seeds flying all over my cutting board. And then I'm just going to cut it into similar size as the asparagus because when it comes down to it in your finished product, so I'm kind of making these the size of a stalk of asparagus. You probably know lots about bell peppers. I learned more about asparagus than I ever knew in my life, so tell me.
Bell peppers are a great form of vitamin C, believe it or not. You think of that mostly in fruit, but bell peppers are a great form of vitamin C.
Wow, that's great.
And anything you eat with a bright color is just so good for you. We always say to eat the rainbow, right? And this is a great, nice pop of red.
Yeah, we're getting a rainbow going here.
That's a good way to indicate that you're getting enough fiber is if you're eating the rainbow. So getting lots of good colors in there.
Good to know. As long as it's not like Sour Patch Kids or something.
Yeah, well, you can't eat the rainbow in like Skittles.
Yeah, this does not apply to Skittles. Can we add a little disclaimer at the bottom here? All right, here comes the shallot. This is going to be cooked up with my risotto. But you could just use an onion if you didn't have a shallot on hand, of course, because we're going to saute it up. And it's just an aromatic that adds good flavor. I'm not sure if it's nutrition-wise, but,
that's adding good fiber, Mary. It's
okay, great. Good fiber. Who knew? I guess there's a little purple in here. It's a little bit of a rainbow underneath.
We'll count it.
Yeah, okay, good. Thanks for that. I got more points.
Something, that I've been told in the past too is if you're looking at fiber in your diet, a good way to indicate that you're getting enough variety and nutritional density is to try to eat 30 different types of plants a week, which seems like a lot. That seems intimidating, but let's just think about this. Onions count, the shallot counts, the peppers count, the rice counts, the asparagus counts. I mean, you're already up to 4. And if you're counting herbs, you're counting, garlic counts. So any sort of plant counts. I mean, any herbs, any,
Yeah, and it's all just
any
fresh,
nuts,
not
any
packaged.
seeds. Exactly,
Good.
any whole food.
Okay, I'm going to get just a little bit of this parsley that I washed earlier. It's just my topper at the end, and it will count towards my 30. Okay, I'm going to take these fresh veggies over to my cooking area and show you how to get these going, and then we'll get into our rice. So, okay. We're over here at my little cooking station. I'm going to get a little heat on. The first thing I want to do, I'm just turning my lower burner where I'm going to cook my veggies on to get the skillet warm. And I'm just going to add this 4 cups of broth because this is the secret to making a great risotto. You want to heat your broth and be adding hot broth into your risotto once you get to that part of the recipe. So.
And we're using vegetable broth, but if you want to use chicken, that's fine too.
Yeah. This recipe called for vegetable broth. It's so much deeper in the color of it than the chicken broth, I noticed. All right, so while that's heating, we're going to simmer some vegetables. Not the shallot or the parsley, but we're going to start by adding, this recipe calls for either water or olive oil. I'm going to use olive oil now that my skillet is a little bit warm. I'm going to do about 1.5 tablespoons. I don't know if you want to talk about these cooking oils.
Yeah,
Natalie,
absolutely.
that
And
we're
I know
using.
you said water. Don't be afraid of these healthy oils. It's good to have some healthy fat in your diet. Just make sure you're using, olive oil, avocado oil is a really good one to also cook with. The smoke point's a little higher, so if you're baking, that's a good option. Yeah, just so don't be afraid of oil. Don't be afraid of oil because we need some fat in our diet.
Yeah, a little bit of good, more healthier fat.
I bet that smells amazing, Mary.
Yeah, it does. It's just fresh and it's already starting to sizzle a little bit. So to that, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. And then once I get those veggies coated with that little bit of olive oil, I don't have to stir too much because what I want to do is get them to just to brown up, because at the end of this recipe, we really want a crisp vegetable, nothing too soggy or soft. Meanwhile, back here, my broth is just warming up. We're going to use that in a moment to do our rice.
And like we said earlier, mushrooms would be great in this too. Anything you have on hand, you could throw into this, whatever's in season. You can make it a different. It has to be spring vegetables. You could do it in the fall or in the summer. Or spinach would be something, at the end, if you wanted to throw in some spinach just to wilt it, that could be really good too. This is something good, if you have vegetables you want to use up at the end of the week and you don't know what to do with them.
Voila! Here, now you know what to do with them.
Throw them in a good risotto.
Yeah. So because I don't want these to overcook, I'm going to grab a plate and I am just going to kind of ladle them off of the skillet here and onto this plate. All right, so there's our yummy veggies. I'm going to set those off to the side. And I'm going to start my risotto. See the brown on here? I'm going to turn the heat down. First thing I'm going to add is my shallot, but first I'm going to add a little bit more, the other half of that olive oil. I have my oil in there already, so we're just going to get this evenly distributed. It's going to heat up. It's going to get it kind of sauteing on all sides and get it to absorb, get it to be coated with the little bit of olive oil and the shallot. And it cooks up a little bit before I start adding the broth.
I feel like white rice gets a bad reputation, Mary, but it's actually not something bad to add to your diet. It still has nutritional value. It's still a whole grain, and especially when it's paired with a lot of fiber, like we were talking about with the vegetables, it absorbs more slowly into your bloodstream, so it's not going to spike your insulin as much when you pair it with a lot of good fiber and a fat.
Oh, good. Yeah, and this recipe is just 1 cup of rice here, but it's gonna, because it's heavy on the veggies, it still is a nice hearty meal. This is the part where you're going to be stirring constantly for about 15 to 20 minutes. So we're going half cup at a time, and you're making sure it doesn't cook too fast. You don't want it to boil ever. Okay, here we go. So you kind of get the gist of what I'm doing here. When it doesn't seem to be absorbing so quickly, I up the heat a bit, but don't let it get boiling. And I just let it absorb. And I'm going to pull this one off to the side and just pull out one that I did a few minutes earlier. Okay, so this one, I got to a certain point of the liquid being absorbed. And I will slide my vegetable broth over so that I have the right amount left. And then I'm just going to ladle, getting down to the nitty gritty on this. So I'm going to take a bowl. Okay, so I'm going to add some risotto into my bowl. You could put all of your parm into the dish, or you could just do it as you prepare it and stir it in. Add a little bit
Adds a
more.
nice richness to it.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of layer it with a little more parm.
And parm is kind of a harder cheese, and so people who sometimes have issues with dairy, like if you can't really have milk as much, you might be okay with parm because there's less lactose in a harder cheese.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, I'm that way a bit, and parm has been kind to me. So there we go. I'm going to show you my little final product here. I've got my I forgot my parsley. Can never forget the parsley at the end. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of parsley on there, and I've got a wonderful dish ready to go for my lunch. I wish you could share it with me.
That looks so good, Mary.
Yeah, I'm going to grab a fork and give you my feedback on a taste. Okay, so here we have it. We've got the risotto, the parm, the veggies, the parsley, and the official taste. You want to grab one of everything. So good. There's a little crunch of the veggies still because we didn't overcook them, mixed with the softness and the just perfectly prepared risotto, if I must say myself. And then that cheese just adds great flavor. So, yum. I think this is my best ever risotto. And I'm so happy I shared it with you. Have a great day, everybody, and thanks for coming to my kitchen to prepare a delicious spring risotto, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Take care.